So I was appalled to know that maybe 50 people who started Facebook and Google and whatever, when you really get to the numbers of who is creating the overlay of all this technology that's driving our behavior and driving our connection, that there's only like 50 people at the table, really, right? I mean, there's obviously the huge amounts of employees, but I just love the idea of that you're giving everyone a moment to come to the table, right? Like in diversity, it's like we need everybody, gay, black, women, just more input, right? So that the
Yeah.
AI can learn better, and that whatever model you are trying to put together can actually have input from not just like, white straight males who are, make 250,000 more a year or something,
Right, right. And the interesting thing is that we're actually more powerful through our diversity, and this is not just a fanciful idea. It manifests directly in the work that we do. So, um, and so particularly in the context of cognitive diversity, thinking styles, but there are definitely cultural aspects that come into it. Um, if everyone thought exactly the same way, then there's much less opportunity for kind of complementary thinking and ideation and innovation, actually. So I'm very excited because the team that I work with is incredibly diverse on many different dimensions, including some of the ones you mentioned, and and you feel that like when we interact, when we connect and we start trading ideas and stuff, there's just this yeah, it feels like a synergy. We play off each other and we appreciate those different perspectives and really value them. But we have this method in citizen science called wisdom of crowds. So a big objection and a reason that some of the original proposals for stall catchers were rejected was because there were scientists who looked at the idea and said, how can we trust members of the general public to provide a high enough kind of quality of data analysis? When you look at the original reason why the biomedical scientists came to us and said, we need your help to analyze these data, the first question we asked was, have you tried using machines to do this? And they said, yeah, machines only get it 85% right. So now imagine you have two machines working on it together. So you have or you could start to build a crowd of machines. The problem there is that each of these machines is thinking about the problem in exactly the same way, and they're going to give exactly the same answer. So whether you have one machine that's 85% right or 10 machines that are 85% right, and you combine those answers, it's always going to be the same answer, which means it's always going to be only 85% correct. Now, if you take 10 people and maybe each individual person is only 70% correct, but if you have a way of combining the answers of all these 70% people that that leverages the diversity, you can consistently get 99.9% accuracy out of that simply because of the diversity.
It's hard for like the average everyday Joe to understand, like, how is all this going to affect us? And like, how do we get involved? And I think citizen science is a place where this is great. We're inviting citizens, like, become part of the technological conversation, because you can shape. You don't have to
Right.
be a victim or like an enslaved person. You could actually help contribute and shape the future technology that will connect us, bring out things like cures. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think that's exactly right. And I mean, I think we sort of share, you and I, this idea that by keeping humans in the loop, then we're maintaining kind of some control over the evolution of these systems, and particularly making sure that humans are in control of the right parts of the system.
Yeah.
Seems important, but even that's sort of can be a confusing issue, because obviously we have humanity has a history of humans making poor decisions. And sometimes people can make an argument that, well, maybe we should trust the machine to make this decision. On the other hand, no human is really super comfortable with the machine making a decision,
Yeah.
particularly if it could impact human lives.
And yet we'll trust the computer to tell us who we should connect with, all the algorithms, like what we should watch,
Mm,
yet
yeah.
we don't even question that on a day-to-day basis. When I pick up my phone, it's just that guiding me through my day, through emotions and things that I need to like and see. And, we could use technology to connect each other. Like, you could use it to connect people in real life. You could use it to connect them to become a citizen scientist. You could awaken so much latent potential within the human being by using these algorithms and studying you, right, for your credit score and everything. Maybe we study you and say, like, he's a kind of person. He connects with humans really well. Like, get him over into this place where he can like make a difference. That's where I think machine learning could really do some really awesome stuff, connecting us to things that we don't even know, because it knows more than us, right? It's out evaluating all these data points more than I can. And so I would like an AI or a machine learning tool to show me, like, who do I best fit with? Where's my group? Who are my people? Like, where's my value most needed? You know, that would be awesome.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. And I think it's interesting that when ideas like that come up, at least in my experience, most people turn to how could that go wrong? And then the conversation becomes like almost exclusively about that. And it's not, I think it's a useful conversation to have. I think there's an opportunity to think more about, but what are the good things that could come out of this? And how could we realize a vision like the one you just described, where, we're connecting people with more fulfillment in their lives, or even with other people in meaningful ways. And
curing a disease, for instance, right?
Yeah,
like that's what you're doing. That's what you're doing. I mean, you're doing that. It's actually exists today for our listeners, like this is actually going on. So, there is hope, I think, in the hopelessness of the barrage of algorithms that we're just bombarded with daily.
The question is, what can we do with these models today? So we thought, well, let's see, are they all answering the questions the same way? And we looked at the diversity of human responses in terms of sensitivity and bias. And we looked at the diversity of all these machine responses on similar dimensions. And it was the same kind of distribution. The machines were actually thinking about the problem differently because they were each built by a different team of humans that were thinking differently about the problem. And when we looked at how they were actually designing the models, they were fundamentally different. So we thought, oh, there's some diversity here. Maybe we can play with that. So now what we're actually doing is we're taking these machine learning models, which are imperfect, just as humans are imperfect in answering these questions, but we're giving them agency in stall catchers. We're letting them play stall catchers as players alongside humans. And then we're using our wisdom of crowd methods to combine answers from machines and humans working together. So it's that whole side-by-side thing. And so far, it's looking pretty promising.
That's awesome. How cool. I love that. That reminds me a little bit too of CrowdMeter, right? Also, you're doing this CrowdMeter thing too for the, tell us a little bit more about CrowdMeter, because it sounds like you talk about crowd and collective intelligence, and we're trying to talk a lot about that in this disruptive innovation field.
The idea came up just like a couple months after we started learning about the pandemic, and I was trying to figure out if there's anything we could do. The real impetus was I was hearing about what was going on in China and how they were doing lockdowns and people were sort of forced to do contact tracing. And I was thinking, that's never going to happen in this country because people don't want to be told what to do. Culturally, we're, it's like it's in the DNA of our country. And
wild west,
right.